Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Mark.
I almost forgot what to do.
Yeah.
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So we're 3 weeks into deer season or rifle season now in northern Maine.
I was just
Maine.
thinking that, Paul, walking in, we're 3 weeks into the rifle season.
You're running out of time.
Yeah, well,
Pressure's on.
I got 2 weeks if you count muzzle loading. So
what's happened? So we did one for the first week. So we had one deer down the first week, saw some deer.
Yep. Yeah.
You saw a buck.
Yeah. I'm seeing less as I go along.
Weeks 2 and 3 seem to be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. I did see 3 deer the second week, and we jumped some others in a cut that we didn't see. And this past week, but I cut it short. I only went 3 days and didn't see a thing.
So yeah, the last 2 weeks have been quiet.
Yeah, they have, Paul. We actually we had the best snow the first few days of the first week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that's the game changer, snow.
Yeah, it is. Makes a big difference up here, in deer hunting and stuff, and for the way we hunt anyway. So.
I know the guys at work, there's a bunch that take third week off.
Yeah.
That's their deer camp week, and they were kind of tails between their legs when they came out.
They were. Yeah, you've talked to them then. They're out. And,
they came out Friday.
Yeah.
So you just feel like you're on the moon.
Yeah.
Looking for a deer.
Yeah. Boy, it's really tough.
One of them did shoot a small, I think 7-pointer.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of a funny story. The buck comes out, I think it was like 50 yards or 70 yards, pretty close. And he's like, no, it's small. I'm not going to shoot it. And then the deer goes into the woods. And he's like, well, I've got grandkids. And I think it was his son or daughter, I forget whose kids they were, but they love deer meat.
Right.
He's like, oh, I should have shot it. So he grunted a few times on his grunt call. And the buck comes back out 200 yards away.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
And he shot it.
Yeah.
And changed his mind after he thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Doug at work saw it was a little 6-pointer.
Yeah.
And didn't shoot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that was it.
If I see a little 6-pointer,
he won't be so lucky.
Yeah. Get out of the way. Don't be standing between.
Me get out of the way?
Yeah, don't be standing between myself and
I better
the deer.
not be in the way.
Yeah.
I better be behind you.
Yeah.
Because I'm not hunting.
Drop and roll.
Yeah. My father-in-law did shoot one behind the house.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. Lacey went out to let the chickens out and bring the dog out. It's like 6:30 in the morning or whatnot. And she comes in. She's like, I just heard a gunshot out behind the house. I wonder if it was Dad. And then she got a text 1 hour later.
Yeah.
It was a small rack, a little 8-pointer, but weighed 188 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fat little thing.
Yeah.
He's all fattened up from all the food plots around here.
Exactly. Yeah. He was shot in a food plot. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's feeding him around here. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to recap the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which pretty easy. Nothing.
Yeah. Not
pretty
even
well sums it up.
Not even a bird, Paul. I got a bird the beginning of the first day of the season there, the residents only.
Yeah.
And the trail that I watch, there's birds there every time I watch that trail, but I don't shoot them.
I'll thin out the birds.
Yeah, well.
When I go out.
Yeah.
So that's, coming up is our annual deer camp week. We leave tomorrow morning.
We leave tomorrow morning.
So packing for that.
Yeah.
Looking like, I was hoping, we just had a front go through. It was really warm last night, but cooled off. We got a lot of rain. The tail end of it was cooling off.
Yeah.
Hoping to get some snow, but...
Yeah. Down here, and, up there, they may have gotten
it was
some...
flurrying a little bit this morning out here.
It did. It was supposed to transition into some flurries and snow. And, but here, we didn't get enough it didn't get cool enough, fast enough to stay on the ground. So, but up there, it can be a little different, a little higher elevation, a little further northwest. So we'll see.
Do you think maybe there's some?
It's possible.
That'd be nice.
It's very often down here, if it's bare, we have snow up there. Because, like I say, it did transition. It tried to transition over to, who knows?
Maybe we get a couple inches.
We'll see tomorrow.
But they're calling Wednesday. They're calling for It depends on what weather report you look at, but a fairly substantial amount.
Yeah, I don't want too much.
No, the one I was looking at said like 12 inches.
Yeah, I don't
Lacey had one that was saying like 6 inches or so.
Yeah, even that's a lot. 3 or 4 is 3 or 4 would be good, Paul.
Yeah.
So, but
that's all I got.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you got a lot actually. You got. Of course, you've told that story. That story's been out there, so you've.
The deer story?
Yeah, you're just a bystander now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a guide or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a guide.
Yeah,
I'm the cameraman and can't.
Yeah, we better clarify that, an unpaid guide.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't get paid for anything.
Yeah.
So I'm camp cook.
Pardon me?
I'm camp cook.
And camp cook, yeah. You're a good cook,
Cleaner.
so that's a good thing. If you have time to do some cooking, we'll eat good anyway.
Yeah.
So I kind of got and I did it Tuesday and Wednesday. I got a little bit of a plan. The deer that I've most of the sign, Paul, has been in the cuts with the and that's where you shot your deer.
In those new cuts.
Yeah, we got brand new cuts up there, and the cuts are a little different than these cuts and what we're used to, because they've left everything, the tops and a lot of trees in the there.
It is a mess.
It's a mess, but there's a lot of food there.
Yeah.
And I hunted in them both Tuesday and Wednesday, and every one I went into the back of, and I went into 2 that you hadn't been in. 2 different cuts, and they all had a lot of fresh sign, and buck sign, and so that would be my plan to get into the back end of some of those cuts, and maybe even going into the one where you shot your deer and seeing after you had shot we had gone in a few times looking for the deer and stuff, and there had been the deer had been pushed out of there.
Yeah.
So we hadn't seen any fresh sign in those.
Could be some back there.
Could be some back in
all
there
kinds
now.
Of feed, and that's a huge cut.
Yeah. A lot of people avoid them because it is tough going in there. And if you do get a deer in the back of one of those, it's
oh my God.
It's you're going to be working hard.
And not just that, you drop one, there's 1,000,001 places for it to disappear into.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
There's just junk everywhere.
Yeah, there is. So on the skid trails, they've just laid the tops across the skid trail. So there's no easy walking. There's a lot of times you're walking on your feet never hit the ground. You're walking across the tops of the trees and stuff, and that gets a little tricky. And
which makes it weird tracking a deer too across those, because when they get through all that slash and stuff, you're just kind of seeing poke holes down in between all the sticks.
All the sticks, yeah.
Yeah, they're messy.
Yeah. But they do, like I say, they do provide good food for the deer, and that's what they're looking for. So the does anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah. So as far as deer being shot, there's been some of the local field hunters. I'm hearing, shoot deer that are hunting stands over food plots.
Yeah.
But none of the guys that hunt the woods.
Yeah.
So.
I'm kind of out of touch, Paul, and I don't talk to a lot of people, and so I have no idea how the season's going, like you say, in the woods and stuff, in the big woods, and I'm really outside the loop of a lot of.
I talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and you're right at the gate there. So it's in Ashland.
It's in the town right now, is where all the deer have been.
Yeah.
Been shot.
Well, and that's where most of the deer are now.
They are.
Yeah. Last night, Paul, coming home from Presque Isle, going over, I saw one on State Road. Coming back in the dark from visiting Mom, there were 2. Yeah, right on the guy's lawn.
Oh, well, okay.
On State Street, excuse me.
Speaking of that,
Road.
So Doug lives handy to there.
Yes, it was not far from Doug's house.
So he gets back from camp. He'd been up there for the week. And his wife brings a dog outside, and the dog's nosing around the yard everywhere.
Yeah.
And she sees a bunch of droppings everywhere. She was inside, and she asked Doug, she's like, I think there's bear droppings out back in the yard. And he goes out, and he stops by and brings in his phone. He's like, I got to show you something.
Yeah.
So he's get his phone. He's got a video of him going around the yard. There's just piles of deer droppings everywhere.
They're all through there.
I'm like, that just sit on your porch, Doug. And
that the school farm there, the apple orchard is right, and that's right full of deer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. A few years ago, they had cameras on Main Street in Presque Isle, and they had a big buck running right down the sidewalk, and the reason being, he'd gone up on the hill there. He come down Academy Street. He'd gone up on the hill there. All those does, they needed to be bred, and he couldn't resist himself. And I saw the video. I don't know if you ever did.
I did. He looked a little distressed.
Yeah, running right down the sidewalk in our largest city in Aroostook County here. Yeah.
Street lights. And
yeah. So that was the draw of the rut, and they'll do some crazy things when they
So I had a guy reach out to me today actually asking about if I hunt because we live in eastern Aroostook County.
Right.
And he goes, do you guys hunt along the New Brunswick, Maine border, Canadian border? And I said, well, no, we don't. And he's right near Holton, I believe.
Right.
In Canada. And I said, we don't hunt there, but I live there. And he was asking about deer densities. And if I recall his message, he's been hunting since he was 16. And I think he's 30 now. I should check my phone just to be sure. But
yeah.
And he just says it's been very hard hunting because he feels like deer densities are quite low. And he's had a hard time to tag a deer. And he asked me if I'm familiar with the area, if I see the same thing. And I was like, around my house, I live there. I see a fair number of deer, but I live here.
Right.
They're mostly does and fawns. And I also, had to add most of the guys that live around me are pretty serious deer hunters. And they all have their property set up for deer hunting. They've all got food plots. And they spend a lot of time. And I think it was one of the guys, wasn't there one, I think you would talk to him. He spent something like 27 days in his stand from daylight to...
Yeah, I can't remember, Paul.
It was something, a ridiculous amount of days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a huge commitment.
It is. It's
And
but if you get the time and you love to deer hunt, I mean, it comes around. It's
so I had expressed, I see deer around here. I don't hunt, but around here. But there's guys that they put in a lot of time and don't shoot a deer.
Yeah, and like most of the towns now, Ashland and Allagash and even in Fort Fairfield here, I think they've got a place right down the hill from you, Paul, set up as a feeding station during the wintertime.
Yeah.
So they try, and all the guys...
QDMA,
I
see QDMA signs there.
Yes, yeah. It's, well, I won't mention the guy's name, but I'm quite sure that, so they've got this, they've tried to establish a deer yard, and they hunt coyotes, try to keep the predator population down and feed them. And so they've established a pretty good population here. And of course, this is really eastern Aroostook County.
Yeah.
Right behind us is Canada, just a few feet. So
Lacey's leaving, running the garage door.
Yeah. So I shouldn't talk right now.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. And but the further this guy, speaking to what he was talking about, it gets worse as you go north and west.
Yeah.
The deer population.
He asked me kind of general area where we hunt. Yeah. And it can be quite big. I mean, you can go from zones 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
Kind of all in around there.
Yeah.
And you're basically hitting pockets of deer.
Yeah.
And if you look at a map at zones 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's a huge area.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm trying to be like not specific with them.
Right.
But it's just you gotta travel a lot of miles in between deer. Where there's areas where there's no deer.
I couldn't invite somebody to our camp to go hunting, and I had a guy up there Monday. He came up to hunt with me. I have no secret place or A game or anything like that. Our success depends a lot on whether we get the weather, the snow and stuff, because there's very few deer, and So those cuts I was talking, they can be in one cut today, and they could be miles away. And the tracks are all there, you know, from the day before, but that place is barren. They're gone.
And we've said this 1,000 times. It changes even the short firearm season. What's the way things are at the beginning of November?
Yeah.
Come the end of November.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Like you'll have like just random big bucks sometimes show up on a camera that you stuck someplace, and you're like, where did this guy come from?
Yeah.
Never to be seen again.
Right. He's just passing through looking. And he's on a long range scouting mission. Yeah.
And you know, the guys at work, we were talking about that, just how it's a chess match the entire month, and you get some snow.
Yeah.
It levels the playing field a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, like that day that I shot that deer, you probably wouldn't have known there was any deer sign there, any deer down in there.
No, if there hadn't been snow, Paul.
Because that whole road going in, you don't really see any sign.
No.
Until it was like the very end where they were going back and forth.
We were very fortunate that there hadn't been somebody else in there and seen that and been on to that game. Just a dead end road that we'd hunted in there in years past. We went back in.
That's one of the keys is I had a lot of deer running through there the previous year.
Yeah.
So that kind of is like, that's going to be one of my top spots to go.
Yeah. But the terrain had changed 100%. Now there's
a cut in the middle.
Now there's a big cut.
Because that was all big woods.
That was all mature forest. And now there's a cut. So yeah, it'll be interesting next year to see if it still holds deer or not, you know, that cut. For sure, we'll check it out. And
you got to go back.
Yeah.
But you got to adjust your game plan on the fly.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah, but that buck you shot, Paul, he'd been back and forth through that cut everywhere. His tracks were everywhere through there.
Oh, yeah. Once we lost the snow in the cut, it was like you could just see his tracks everywhere.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, he'd been, but while the snow was there, we're seeing it in the snow and going, oh, yeah, man, he is, Yeah,
well, when I get on him, there was a nice, him going down the road, and then it went into the ditch with a bunch of other deer tracks into some thick woods.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to circle around that so I don't go in the middle of that. And when I get on the opposite side, where all those deer were coming out, then I could see a fresher track in that one going back. I'm like, well, there was a buck and a doe together.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm going back that way. That one's the fresher.
Yeah.
And then went down into that cut. And that's one thing I've always said about, like, I'm big on critical thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is being, well, in general in society is being lost.
Yeah.
Being able to critically think. So just people hear the term, and I don't think a lot of people understand what it is. Basic critical thinking is being able to take a bunch of information, so evidence, experience, all that stuff put together, and then formulating a decision from it that's unbiased. Yeah. You try to exclude emotion, anything else like that. And that's, well, unfortunately, I don't want to get on a side tangent here, but working in healthcare, you see it in healthcare where you've got students coming in that have had their nose in a book, and reading a book is one, getting information is one modality to forming a decision on something.
Right.
It's not the end all be all. And we've got too many people now that just get a bunch of information and then they just parrot that information without taking in all the information that's actually going on, and then assimilating it and making a decision from it. They just parrot what they're told, almost like you get a recipe for whatever it is that you're working on or whatever outcome you want. So whether it's tracking a deer or making a decision in a healthcare setting or treating a patient, everyone just has like a recipe that they want to go to and not actually think about the situation at hand and make a decision, because it's not always going to be that cut and dry.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
I just see it in life in general, and it's really people in general are just, they're told something and then they just repeat what they're told.
Yeah, certainly deer hunt. I mean, you're out there and things are tough, so you've got to make good decisions, or you could be spending a lot of time where you have no chance to shoot a deer, or where there aren't any deer or whatever. So
I guess kind of where I'm going with that, with something like that, is you'll get people say, well, you always need to do this or you always need to do that. And anytime that you hear the words always, you're basically going into default mode. And now you are no longer making a decision on something. Right. Yeah. You're just basically going into automatic.
Right.
And if you sit down and take all gather all the evidence and all the information that's put in front of you, like I'm always asking myself, like I ask myself questions like all day long. Like, well, what is it that I know about for a fact that's going on right now without speculating, without guessing? What are the facts of the situation? Then I can take those and make an informed decision. Yeah. And then go with that. Yeah. And then sometimes, you may get some gut feeling and stuff like that, but you want to try to eliminate emotion and all that stuff. And you get, a lot of people, even areas that they hunt, well, this is a good place to hunt. Well, I've always hunted here.
Right.
And it's like, well, is it still a good place to hunt?
Right.
Like you're familiar with it.
Right.
Now you're comfortable because this is where you've always gone. This is what you've done.
Yeah, we can fall into that trap with fishing and hunting and stuff.
Can.
Well, it was good, 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
And sometimes you catch yourself, you're like, I really haven't had much luck here for 3 or 4 years. Maybe I need to sit down and really reevaluate. Because you get a lot of good memories with that area.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to adapt and change and stuff. I just listened to another guy. He talked about that on a podcast, and he had done something and he stuck with it, throughout the season. And he said, looking back, he said, I won't make that mistake again. I wasn't flexible and I was too rigid on what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. And he said, and he paid, I don't think he shot a deer. And he said,
yeah, you got to be able to.
Yeah.
And I find it, we're a society that has so much information at our fingertips now. And I see it with the quote unquote educated.
Yeah.
They have all the right letters after their name.
Yeah.
But when you actually start asking them difficult questions.
Yeah.
And the wheels start turning, the wheels start coming off because they realize that, yes, what I just said actually doesn't make sense in the grand scenario that I'm trying to apply this to. And it's unfortunate. So it's almost like we've got way more knowledge, but we're missing the application portion of it big time.
Yeah. Well, the day that you shot your deer, we started hunting in the morning and a long way away from there, and and we just didn't see the possibility there with what we saw for sign. And
even though we were only there a few days before,
right,
and there was all kinds of sign.
Yeah, yeah,
there was nothing in the snow. Not to get on a tangent on that, but that's something that I'm really...
Yeah. Well, it's all about making good decisions, Paul.
Yeah.
It's, that's life. You make good choices.
It does. It applies to everything. Whether you're buying a car, a house, you want to be informed.
Anything. You want to make good choices in life and informed choices and good, smart choices. And, you want in everything we do.
Yeah, even to figure out if someone's telling you the truth.
Yeah.
On something.
Yeah.
If you think about what they're saying, and you can develop a model to know if, because like I said, we've got so much information at our fingertips, and there's so much wrong information.
Yeah.
And if you can develop a model, if you think about things correctly, and you don't have to know a lot about the subject to figure out what this is BS. This is totally BS because it isn't equal in the facts that we know that have always been true through time up to this point.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, what we know to be true isn't true in this situation. It's like, no, just because they're an expert that's saying it, that doesn't mean that is true. There's a lot of hidden agendas. nowadays.
Yeah.
All seems to be tied to money too. Everyone wants a
Yeah. They are, yeah.
everyone wants a buck.
I won't go down that trail, but yeah, money is a big driver in how things are done and
it is
and what we do and stuff. And I always say one of the things when you talk about motive, and money brings motive into question. You know,
it does.
Why people do things, and stuff. And I always question people's motives when there's money tied to it, So it always brings motive into question. Money does.
Yeah.
So, yeah. In everything.
So, and I look at a lot of the stuff, even in hunting and stuff. So one of the things that I like numbers and I like sciencey stuff. I like a lot of boring stuff. I've never been big into ballistics.
Yeah.
I don't like arguing about it. A lot of guys, they like to argue about bullet performance and get into that. And that's good. I mean, that's a good hobby.
Yeah. It's a hobby. Yeah.
I think, and this is my opinion, and people can say whatever they want. I'll be at deer camp next week, so they can say all kinds of nasty stuff. I'll be going. But I think a lot of it's just marketing hype.
Yeah.
You're selling a product and all these.
Oh, for sure.
And I've always been of the mindset, my bullet isn't going to make or break my hunting experience, what I buy for a bullet.
Right.
Guys have been hunting for thousands of years with a pointy stick and a bow, and I've been getting it done.
Yeah, you got to put it in the right place for sure.
Shot placement and being a good hunter is going to supersede whatever performing bullet that you want to.
Yeah, we like all the little gadgets and gizmos and stuff as hunters. And one of the things that I laugh at, and boy, it's a big industry, is the scent control industry. And I'll probably step on a few toes there, but I don't know if people realize how well a white-tailed deer can smell. And about the only thing that I know that for scent control, and we talked about this in the truck, is playing the wind, using the wind to your advantage. And other than that, they can smell really well, really well. I don't think you're going to spray yourself with a spray bottle with any type of solution that's going to eliminate your odor.
No, it's a big industry.
Well, there again, people, they're always looking for something.
Make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Same thing with the supplement industry.
I do not. Yeah, exactly. It's everywhere. It's not just in hunting. It's in fishermen. We got the biggest and the best and the latest gadgets and fish finders and downriggers and all to make us better fishermen.
My go-to dry fly is the same old
number 12 Adams
repeating thing. Yeah. It's really. But yeah, I mean, ballistics are great. It's a great hobby to play around with and stuff like that. But I'm just not. It's not.
No.
That's not the deciding factor. It's not that big of a game player, I don't believe, in how my hunt's going to go.
Not with me at all, Paul. I mean, you hunt with the 270, I hunt with the 30-06. And we have hunting ammo, and I don't know the difference, but what I use, I think I could use just about any cartridge, and it would do the job if I used it properly. And
so I always think of, and it's these things that actually turn someone into a good hunter, is the more challenging something is as a kid developing, and not to make it so it's not fun for the kid, but if the kid's doing something fun and it's really making them hone their hunting skills.
Yeah.
And I always think of the story that you would talk about. You had a little BB gun.
Yeah. Boy, that never left my side when I was a kid.
That BB gun, one pump.
Yeah.
You could watch the BB.
You could see the
curve out of the end of that gun.
You could see, yeah.
And you shot a lot of...
I shot a lot of BBs through that gun.
You shot a lot of BBs through that gun.
That was probably an extension of my arm, that gun. And so I can always remember we'd get ready to go we went to the camp every weekend when I was a child. And that was the only thing I packed. I didn't care about clothes or anything like that.
Your
Food
BB gun
wasn't
and
on
lots
my,
of BBs.
Yeah, we would stop and get a box of BBs, and I would have that BB gun, and that never left my side.
And if you were going to get something with it, you would have to get into position.
You got to get close. Yeah.
And
yeah, it had no power.
No.
Yeah,
it
just a little pneumatic one pump. Yeah, it had no. It was a Daisy Red Ryder, is what it was. They were not known for either accuracy or power. So,
and that makes you that develops your hunting skills.
Yeah,
you know.
I walked around the neighborhood. Now you never see a kid with a BB gun walking around.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, I walked around the neighborhood with a BB gun.
Yeah,
all my friends had them.
Yeah,
they all had them. So yeah. It was, good times. I
shot mom's bird feeder all to pieces.
Oh, did you? Shooting at birds in the bird feeder?
I'm not going to say what I was shooting at, but could have been a squirrel or birds or...
Yeah.
I made the bird feeder for her, though, so...
Yeah. We're talking about deer hunting, Paul, and I just watched... I look forward to it every year. There's a guy that puts out a deer camp video in northern Minnesota. I don't know if I can mention his channel or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Joe and Zach Survival. So the guy's name is Joe Jensen, and he goes up with his family. His father has a camp in northern Minnesota, and his kids usually go up, but his kids couldn't make it at the beginning of this trip. And there were no deer. The deer were completely gone from that area. And he attributes it, and everybody else does too, to wolves. They reintroduced wolves there.
Okay.
And so there were wolf tracks, and they had snow. And this is the disheartening part of it, is they had snow for a number of days up there. They could not find a deer track. He could not find a deer track.
Was it usually pretty?
Yes. Yeah, in years past it's been, I think it's gone down. I've watched it for 5 or 6 years, his channel, and I think it's gone down. And this year it was so bad, and I sent him a comment, and I told him it's very, very disheartening because he's up in the morning, cold, sitting in a deer stand in a tree. It's very disheartening to sit there all day, and you're sitting watching a clear cut or a piece of forest that doesn't even have a 2 or 3 day old deer track in it. That's disheartening.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it.
So that works on your mind. You're sitting there saying, there hasn't been anything through here in 3 days. It's all on, it would show it on snow. So what are the chances something, a legal deer is going to come by when I'm sitting here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would play on my mind big time. And I told him, I said, we deal with a lot of, and ours isn't that bad.
No,
but he attributes it to the wolf population there in the part of Minnesota that he hunts. So
yeah, I
really felt for the guy because I know the feeling.
He's still sticking with it.
I didn't watch the entire. It was a 2 hour and some odd minute, and I haven't watched the entire thing. I think I've watched most of it, so I got to finish it. But he's got a little tent camp up in northern Minnesota that he goes to, and
I got to get a wall tent.
Yeah,
that's my next plan. I was just watching. So we had Joe on the podcast.
Yes, Joe.
And I was just watching the buck bus.
Yes, I see the new. He's got it pretty well.
Yeah, that brings back all kinds of memories.
Tricked out or whatever.
Because as a little kid, I can remember reading the Benoits.
Yeah.
And them going up in their bus, and that was always kind of a dream of mine. I'm like, God, that would be so much fun to.
Yeah, and back in that day, Paul, when you went up in the big woods, that's where the deer were.
Yeah.
They weren't around here. They weren't around the towns, and they weren't in southern Maine. They were all up in the big woods, and that has totally shifted. So
we were hunting up there back then.
Yeah.
I can remember. Yeah. I think they weren't too far from us at one point. Weren't they hunting near us up there? I've listened to different. They've hunted everywhere, Paul, from Jackman. I can remember one time
all the way up to Allagash. I think over the years.
I remember one year we were up there. Some guys were talking about the Benoits being over on.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, one area that wasn't too far away from where we were.
They were mobile. They went.
Well, and you got to be.
Yeah, there again. Yeah, the big woods especially, and And that's the great thing about up here in northern Maine. You can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
You want to go down to around Moosehead, or you can go up towards Allagash, and you can find a place to stay.
Yeah.
You're on private land, but it's open to the public. So
yeah,
what a great deal that is. Millions of acres, what, 3.5 million acres.
And I forget, of course, I assume everyone understands, like when you're tracking a deer or something like that. A lot of people that aren't familiar with deer tracking, I don't think they really realize that, like, the deer's not going someplace. He's not, you get a deer track, he's not getting away from you. He's not going to go to some place where you can't go and you're going to lose him.
Right.
You've got millions of acres.
Yeah. He could walk in a straight line for days and never come to a private.
He's not going to go to some place that you can't go.
To a posted property. No.
He's there. You just got to go.
Even where we hunt, Paul, which isn't far from, the towns and stuff. Yeah, no, they're never going to go where we can't go.
Someplace where you can't go.
No.
Unless they jump in a lake.
Yeah. They can lose us.
Then it makes things a little bit hairy. But
you're not going to come to a posted sign or anything like that. So
no, he's not going to get someplace where you can't go. And so I oftentimes assume that people are thinking the same way. Yeah. And I got to constantly tell myself, man, a lot of people, they're just small blocks of property.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of distance for them to go.
Yeah.
Before they're onto a place that they can't hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we can easily go 50, 60 miles from the closest town.
Oh, yeah.
In a straight line. And there's nothing between Ashland and...
Nope.
And
but woods and
Chamberlain Lake, but
woods and water.
But woods. Woods and water. You can, I think that Pinkham Road
60.
It's about 60 miles down to the T-Loss Road there. And so you can, that's one way, 60 miles. That's amazing.
A lot of walking.
And a lot of walking.
Of a day.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on taking kids hunting. Because I had someone message me about how taking their kids hunting, their kids are getting more involved. She was like 10 years old.
Mm.
And a lot of the stuff that when you take kids hunting, there's events that occurs that you never plan for or never. So this circumstance, he brought I believe it was his daughter, and they had a small buck step out like 30 feet away and was feeding. And he decided not to shoot it because it was early in the year and there was some nicer bucks around and the guy had some vacation time coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And, he said his daughter was really excited. He could hear her heart beating.
Yeah.
And she was just levitating.
I'd have been really excited.
Right. And they watched the deer feed and they spent a lot of time doing that. And then he said, when he got home, he felt like he kind of messed up. He's like, well, it probably would have been a good experience for her to see, you know.
Right.
And so he was kind of kicking himself in the butt about it. And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, it's just that is such a good experience. And there's so much more to it than harvesting a deer that she's never going to, she'll probably never even remember the fact that, we didn't get a deer.
Right.
But there was so much excitement and there's so much going on with your senses with something like that. You get everything. There's a whole sensory experience. You've got sights, smells, sounds.
Yeah.
Maybe the feel of the wind. The fall woods have kind of this dank, musty smell. You got all this stuff that kind of gets integrated into your mind.
Cool, usually during deer season.
And then the excitement of seeing a deer.
Yeah.
That the next time she's out doing something like that, those senses, if they're triggered again, that'll bring her right back to that.
Yeah.
And, it's almost like they didn't harvest a deer, but they were close and could have. That might even entice her more.
Yeah.
To want to go back out. And I'm like, and maybe if you harvested it, it's a pretty emotional experience to see a big game animal shot.
Yeah.
Maybe
it is.
Maybe it would have been not so good.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's unpredictable with kids.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people. Yeah, well, you're right, Paul. When they do shoot an animal or whatever, a big game animal, it is a pretty emotional, and there can be some tears shed and stuff, and some remorse, and
and maybe not. Maybe she would have been totally excited, but I definitely don't think. I think just that experience in itself is something that
for
a
sure,
kid will never forget, and will keep him coming back.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, but he was just like, man, there's a lot of things with taking kids that you just can't plan for.
No,
and it's a whole different ball game. And I said, you know, I got 3 kids that are coming close to age.
I was just thinking that
it's going to affect my hunting seasons here.
Yeah.
That's why I need you to stay in good health the next few years so I can just pawn them off on you.
We can maybe do some easy hunts there in the seat of the truck or whatever, and you can go off and go do your tracking and stuff. And
that's funny. That triggers me to think of R.G. Burnier's books. He talks about his son, because R.G. hunted with his father a lot. So his father, you know, probably older. You kind of your intensity or your mindset as you get older changes with that stuff. You get probably a little more laid back.
For sure.
Opposed, you know, like
you're right.
Me, I'm probably a little more gung ho. And I'm gonna go hard.
A lot of people in their 50s that their mindset has changed so much they don't even do it anymore. So that for sure. And sometimes I have to kind of tell myself, you know, Mark, it's only 1 month. So when the alarm goes off at 4:30, you know, it's easy to, but you say, you know, it's only 1 month. And if you come December, if you don't, you're going to wish you had. So,
so I think in RG's books, I just recall his son, when his son was first starting to hunt, his son always said he liked going with his grandfather more because he took lots of breaks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for a kid, you know, that's, you gotta go easy.
Yeah, and where you shot your deer, Paul, you're not gonna. I don't know if you could take a 10 or 12-year-old kid down through there. It would be a mess.
They'd be on their face the whole time.
They'd be falling on. You know, It would. I told you I slipped there one time. Did a split on the ice in the skidder track there. It was I kind of.
It was not fun.
If you'd been there videotaping, it'd been pretty funny to watch because it took a little while. The fall took a little while to unfold. You know, I was trying to catch myself the entire time, and
we'll reenact that.
Not if I can help it, but you've seen me on my back more than once.
Oh yeah,
right on my back. So so that day for you is not far away, Paul. Taking the kids, and that'll change your hunt for sure. And
it will.
Yeah. Like I say that.
I like to go pretty hard. I'm kind of, probably not as laid back as I should be with it, but.
Well, no, there's nothing wrong with going hard. There's, you want to work hard at it. That's.
Yep.
I'm a big believer in, you know, your success is going to be proportionate to your effort. So you need to go hard. And, you need whatever, you know, if you have a passion for whatever it is, you want to do it to the best you can.
And I never have a hard time getting out of bed.
No.
To go. I can remember one time down in college. I'm at least better now as far as going to sleep. When I was a kid, I couldn't go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
It was like, I would be up all night. Yeah. And I can remember we were going to go out hunting, and I shot at a deer that day. And we were going to go out hunting, and we had snow. And I was so excited. And I can remember the alarm was set for like 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I remember looking over at the alarm clock, and it was like 2:45, and I haven't fallen asleep yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm going, holy cow.
Yeah.
Of course, I probably fell asleep an hour before the alarm was going to go off.
Yeah.
But I tossed and turned all night. I could not wait to.
I remember as a young man, Paul, the same thing that, you know, when you knew there was snow coming or it was snowing when you went to bed, that was an exciting time to be in the deer woods. Very tough night to get any sleep because
deer camp,
you were waiting. You knew that, you know, your best opportunities lied ahead and stuff. And so
deer camp, I'd keep looking outside.
Oh, we all do. We watch the weather.
Looking outside.
We watch the weather and stuff. And snow was such a big deal.
But definitely, if there's snow Thursday,
you're
gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah,
Thursday, Friday, and and Saturday.
Yeah. The only part I don't like about that, and I shouldn't, is that's when everybody's out there too. That's when all the that end of that last 3 days, Thursday, hopefully, Thanksgiving Day to Saturday, the last day is a busy time.
Hopefully Thursday, we'll keep some people out because everyone wants to go to have Thanksgiving dinner or whatnot. But
a lot of them go in the morning and then they go home.
Friday and Saturday, ends up being
it's there's a lot of people.
You find a spot that no one goes to.
Yeah, that's not easy where we hunt though, Paul. No. Unfortunately, we're close to some towns and stuff, and there are people you have to deal with that. But I shouldn't make that sound like I mean they have a right to be there.
It's a double-edged sword. You want people to hunt.
Yeah.
You don't want them to hunt where you're hunting.
Yeah.
You hear about, I mean, it sounds like the Jackman area is like polluted with people.
Yeah. They talk about Rangeley too, combat hunting and stuff. And I'm not into combat fishing or combat hunting. So.
And I've always said, I will find a spot if it just has one deer, but there's no one hunting. Yeah. I much prefer to be where there's very few deer.
Yeah.
But no people.
Yeah.
I've just never liked.
I think most deer hunters are that way.
I'm a little bit antisocial anyway in that sense. I kind of
I think most hunters are that way, Paul. They don't want to. Nobody wants to go where there's other people, and
I enjoy hunting alone.
Yeah,
and I'd rather. I'll give people a wide berth.
Yeah,
it could be the hottest spot in the world. Yeah. I'm not gonna. I watch guys are in town here. They fight over spots, and they
even on what side of the river they're hunting on.
Crow,
it's like you
shot my deer.
Not me. Not me. I don't even carry a gun around town here. So
no,
if there was a big buck, if I left here and there was a big buck on I wouldn't even be able to shoot it. I don't bother with that.
There's been a couple times there's been a nice deer out here over the years, and I go to work. And Matt, one of the guys, he's like, "Why didn't you shoot it?"
Yeah.
I don't want to. I got to come to work. I don't want to deal with
too many. I've seen people, and it was too close to a house or on somebody else's property, and I don't deal with that.
Yeah.
So
even Lacey, there was one time I was at work and there was a small buck out on the lawn. There was like 20 minutes of shooting time left.
Yeah.
And there was like 7 or 8 of them feeding on the lawn.
Yeah.
And I said, grab your gun and go out and shoot it.
Yeah, you get deer trails right across your lawn here. And they're going to everybody's back and forth to everybody's food plots here, Paul.
She was, the neighbors aren't really that far away. I'm like, they're far enough away. There's nothing that's going to.
Yeah.
And she, 3 kids, I'm feeding one.
Yeah.
Like,
I can understand why she wouldn't do it. So.
That would have been a cool story.
Yeah.
Feeding kids. So that reminds me of tractor. I got to lower the, I actually got to raise the blower up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mine is right down on the.
So it's funny you mentioned that, Paul. We got a gravel driveway, a rock driveway at the camp, and I'm just got the tractor last year, and it was picking up. There's a hump in the middle, so it was picking up some gravel, and so I lowered the feet there, raised the blower up.
Yeah, I could do the same thing
to the maximum because on a tire driveway that you're at home, it would have been good, but
I snowblow down back too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but if you're not just on tire, then it creates a different problem. So that's one of the first things I did when I hooked my blower back up this year.
That's why I got it parked out back here.
I raised the blower as high as it would go.
Yeah. Because I've got a couple humps on the walkway too that it would kind of catch on.
Yep.
And I'm like, I could just see the tractor peeling up the pavement there.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't need that.
No.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, I got it on the max. I got that blower up as high as the cutter there. I got that as high off the ground as I could get it.
You might have to use it Wednesday.
We might. Well, it's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then use it to hang up your deer.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
You think they might have got snow?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, Paul. Like I say, oftentimes there is a difference between it's 42 miles away. There is a difference between the weather between here and there. So
So what's the game plan Monday morning?
The game plan. Well, if we don't have snowfall, I've got a few cuts that, like I say, that I've been back and forth across.
Yeah.
And I tend to try to get into the back of them. And I got some that...
so you come in through the backside?
Yeah. There was sign in all of them. Fresh sign.
All right.
Lots of droppings, lots of tracks, some scrapes. There was buck sign. And there was one that was really nice walking inside the woods that hadn't been cut, right along the back edge of a cut. And there was, like I say, there was deer sign all through there. And you just have to go, and 90% of the time there's no deer in them.
Yeah.
You just, if you keep at it and keep at it and keep going to them, eventually, like you did, you'll find one with a deer in it. And so the does will be in there feeding and hopefully drawing the bucks to them. So
I know you have a couple trails you like to watch if there's no snow.
Yeah.
But
they were using those.
And there's a camera on one of them.
Yeah.
And one thing that I just can't ever seem to get over as far as watching a trail is I look at the SD card over the course of the fall. And even like at this point, you can look and you can be like, I could have sat there every day this fall.
Oh, yeah.
And never saw it because no buck had gone through there during the daylight.
I look at it, like I say, just the opposite. Like, he is going to come through, and I just need to be there when he does and stuff. And sometimes, it's.
Oh, he came through. It was on a Sunday.
Yeah. But
sometimes what?
Sometimes it's when you, like you say, you have to make a choice. I look at it, if I've got to do something, if I've got to, that may be my best chance. That may be my best chance. They do use that trail. Now, is it a good chance? Well, each day you go out, the odds are against you that you're going to get a deer. I mean, each day you go out, you're probably going to come home without but there again, making choices that, put the percentages in your favor.
Yeah.
And stuff.
You never know when it can happen, though.
No,
or where it's going to happen.
No. But, yeah. So it's our deer camp week, and we'll have a good time. We'll eat some good food.
Second half, and we'll have snow definitely the second half.
Yeah, and
That'll be good.
One thing that's hard for me, Paul, one of the things about like when we were younger, and even with you, when it was just you and I, when you go hunting and there's other people hunting, it makes it a lot easier when you're the only one that's hunting. It's you come home, you're the only one with the story, and and the only one putting in the effort, and it's always nice to have people in the same boat that you're in, out looking and hunting, and like I say, there's a little different feeling when you're the only one, and not that I mind doing it, I still enjoy it and stuff, but there's just something a little different when you have other people in camp that are out.
Well, I'll get it on camera.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Smasher.
Well, I'm not a trophy hunter.
Shoot one with the hindquarters, would you?
Yeah, if at all possible.
I'd like some.
But we'll have a good time.
Oh yeah.
It'll be. And we realize it's the last week, and
well, you still got muzzleloader.
Yeah,
but rifle seasons.
Yeah. After last year, I got a lot of questions on muzzle loading, so I still haven't.
You still haven't shot that?
I still haven't resolved those questions. I got to go out and shoot it before. Certainly, if I don't get a deer this week, I'll be out shooting that gun before and seeing if there's.
Go buy a new muzzleloader.
Yeah, well, the muzzleloader I'd like to buy it's a 20-week waiting list there for the.
Is it really?
I think there is. Depending on eventually that company hopes to get to the point where when you order, you can get it. You can get it, but right the last I heard there was quite a lengthy wait to between the time you told them you wanted one and the time you received it, there was going to be a...
Seems like a lot of people are just using them to use them now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's rifle season or...
Not me. I'm always going to use my rifle during rifle season, but I would like to have one of those muzzle loaders.
I like having more than one shot.
Woodman arms there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of, not having to clean it every shot and worry about that. And so.
Yeah, they seem like a good one.
Yeah. So if you don't fall on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of packing still to do.
I don't have much. Like I say,
I think most of my stuff is up to camp. But as far as camera gear and stuff
I don't have all that stuff. My camera gear, I have one camera.
That you don't use.
Yeah, I don't use it very often. Yeah. So,
did you pull it out at all past week?
I don't think I did, Paul. I don't think I used it. I don't think I used it at all. So, yeah.
You got to work on that.
Yeah, I should. Really wasn't much wasn't much. I took some pictures of the partridge and the budding in the trees and stuff, which is, you couldn't see it very well.
Yeah.
I did do that, but other than that, there wasn't much other than terrain, deerless terrain was...
leafless trees.
Yeah, leafless trees and deerless terrain, and been pretty boring. I get a lot of good exercise.
That's good.
Yeah.
I
walked a lot of miles.
If I get a chance, I might go in to the cut that I shot that deer and get a distance that that shot was.
Yeah.
From the stump down to...
Well, you know what's going to happen. If I'm not there, there's going to be another buck in there.
And that's the way it always goes. And I told him at work, I was like, do you know how many bucks I'm going to see next week?
Yeah.
Like every time that I'm away from Dad, I'm going to see a nice buck.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So I hope it doesn't happen, but I'll take pictures.
Yes, absolutely. Shoot them with the camera.
Look what I saw.
Yeah.
And if there's snow, we'll just get on it and...
Yeah, well, we won't cry about it.
Shoot it.
Either or.
So all right.
Oh, yeah.
I'll try to get this up and just before we leave for deer camp.
Yep.
So...
Yeah.
I guess that sums it up.
Yeah.
So until next time, get outside.
It's good for the soul.
See ya.